Despite universally dismal reviews, Exodus, Gods, and Kings takes the top spot at this week's box office. No word yet on when we can expect the other 9 plagues.
Is that a threat?
Yes! Despite receiving a god-awful 28% from Rotten Tomatoes, Exodus, Gods, and Kings takes the #1 spot at the box office this weekend, bringing in an estimated $24.5 million. Now, there are several problems with this movie, from the Australian and British men playing Egyptians to the serious lack of emotion in the film. But perhaps the most impressive problem, the anticlimactic parting of the Red Sea.
What should be the film's most memorable set piece, the parting of the Red Sea, feels rather underwhelming coming after the 10 plagues.
It's this underwhelming thing, comparatively speaking, to all the other events that have happened in this movie leading up to the parting of the sea.
Many applauded Ridley Scott's adaptation of the 10 Plagues of Egypt, but the critically acclaimed director was criticized by many more for his supposed whitewashing of the original story. While the aesthetics of Exodus, Gods, and Kings are of course light years ahead of the Ten Commandments film from the 1950s, the cast isn't. It's just as white now as it was then. But Scott's reason for a mostly white cast is a simple one. He told Variety, "I can't mount a film of this budget where I have to rely on tax rebates in Spain and say that my lead actor is Mohammed so-and-so from such and such. I'm just not going to get it financed, so the question doesn't even come up." But for all the casting controversy this film has dealt with since the trailer was released, the film doesn't use the cast well, instead relying on stunning visual effects to try and save it from mediocrity. As Forbes film writer Scott Mendelson puts it, the film is so emotionally flat really throughout the entire 150-minute runtime that it feels less like a movie than a handsomely staged and visually spectacular book report. As for the #2 spot,
if we burn, you burn with us.
Lionsgate's Hunger Games: Mockingjay remains in the top 3 for a 4th consecutive week, bringing in an estimated $13 million and pushing its domestic total to more than $277 million. And while Mockingjay and Catching Fire both brought in about $13 million in their 4th weekends out, Catching Fire was selling a lot more tickets at almost $357 million domestically after its 4th weekend. And lastly,
you don't have a family and we're all going to die. What?
The Penguins of Madagascar takes the #3 spot, bringing in an estimated $7.3 million, and just barely edging out Chris Rock's new comedy Top 5, which was carried by less than 1,000 theaters across the country. As for next week, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, with the release of the family-friendly retelling of Annie.
See you later. Aren't you glad I'm back?
And hordes of mystical creatures killing each other. Happy holidays!
These bats are bred for one purpose. For war.
For Newsy, I'm Jamal Andrus.